Well, hello, folks. Um, Glad you could be with me this evening. Um, I'm kind of tired. Been working on concrete all day, but we got it done and we're ready to go live now. Um, I hope that we get a few people on here talking with us, and uh, I think we'll talk just about anything. They're getting ready to blow that bridge tomorrow over in Baltimore, and that will let me get that. There we go. They get that bridge blowed, they get that dolly out of the way, and they can get them ships through there. Help our economy a lot. But anyhow, uh, we'll watch that tomorrow and give you a report on it later on tomorrow evening if y'all don't get to watch it. And I'm hoping that uh, my gentleman that talked to me from Michigan, I believe his name was Jeff. I hope he gets back on tonight. And I hope Rose from Australia gets back on. I got some information for Jeff here when he comes back, if he does. And we'll uh, go from there. Um, Looks like Biden keeps digging himself a hole, making one bad call after another. Let me make sure this sound is turned up as much as I can get it. There we go. But he makes some bad decisions. I don't know who in the world talking to him to making him make a decision. He's not making those kind of decisions on his own, I don't think. But surely the man can't be at bad off. But anyhow, hopefully that won't last too many more months. Um, I was listening to another YouTuber talking about the crisis down on the border. Things are looking pretty bad down there, and I don't have the information that he does, so I can't talk too much about it. But I know it don't look good, and the next couple of weeks are gonna. I'm afraid that things just might get out of hand, and we'll have to all wait and see about that and see how it goes. Um, but anyhow, um, we can talk about music today. We can talk about gold prospecting. Uh, that's Gold prospecting is a very popular talk. Uh, I've been a gold prospector since I was 18 years old, and uh, I probably enjoy doing that more. Now, don't get me wrong; it's hard work. If you're lazy and work prone, don't even think about it. But it's the most rewarding work you can do, and you can make a good living at it and a high standard of living if you want to. And the best thing is just not let nobody know just how big a living you can make at it. Of course, I'm already over the hump, retired, and I'm going to try to go this summer once. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, but because I, at my age, I got to have somebody that goes with me, and so it's a very rewarding hobby. Uh, it just ever since Pappy started giving me the uh, pa- uh, Scrappy Collins, who I'm talking about. He was a mentor of mine. He was just like my dad when I was in Alabama and during the military. And on my days off, I'd be there at the mine helping him. And he had a good hard rock mine. And he started giving me a 50% cut because when he gets sick, I'd still be there operating the mine, and uh, got pretty darn good after about 3 months of it. And then after that, I started. If he didn't show up, well, I stayed there and run it. Knowed what to do, and it's just something never gets out of your blood once you get hooked on it. And when you go getting them gold in your hand, and ain't nobody but you and the good Lord has seen it, it does something to you. And it don't take a whole lot in that hand to make a lot of money nowadays. And uh, I think right now ounces, I don't know why it changes every day sometimes. Let me look it up. But anyhow, hey Siri, what's the spot price of gold right now on the market?
Gold is up $26.60 today, or 1.14% to $2,366.90.
Yeah, that's $2,366.90 per troy ounce. Right there you are. Most of the gold that I found in my lifetime, the biggest part of it, uh, when I found it, it was worth about 64 to $68 an ounce. But after a few years of depression and stuff, it got to be worth, well, what it is now. And it don't take much to make you a good amount of money. Uh, 10 ounces is a whole lot of money nowadays compared to what it used to be. But anyhow, if anybody wants to read about um, gold prospecting, I've got a little thing where you look up on the internet, and if Jeff gets on here, I'll be getting it out, or anybody else wants to get there and talk about it. But tells them how I got started in it, tells you how to separate your black sands and your gold, how to separate gold from amalgam of mercury and do it safely, how to separate it in a frying pan with the heat method. And that's about the least effective way, but it gets the job done. And it's probably the safest. But anyhow, we'll keep on talking here. And I can't remember what Jeff's handle was. Uh, right now, I can't remember. Like I told you yesterday, I can remember back when I was a kid, like it's yesterday. But trying to remember what happened a day or two ago, when I go to think about it, I can't remember when I want to talk about it. But anyhow, um, maybe my daughter will get back on there and talk with me today. Um, but we was talking yesterday about Lake Superior. Now, a lot of people in Michigan already know this, and I understand that. But Lake Superior is loaded with gold. Uh, I would say there's probably more gold in Lake Superior right now than we've ever taken out of the ground. And we've taken quite a bit out of the ground, but not as much as you would think. Um, the thing about in Lake Superior, it's going to be fine gold. Now, there's some places you'll find coarse gold, and It's just like up in Nome on the Siberia on the in the ocean on the Siberian Strait up there. Um, you can find fine gold, and you'll get into coarse gold, where it's washed down them creeks and into it, and the water churning, and it just piles up down on the bottom of the floor of the ocean. And I went up there and stayed a month and made more than I'd made the last 2 or 3 years of working in the military. But uh, you can go along there along Marquette, Michigan. You get along those cliff walls. There's a highway that runs right along the lake. There's a cliff, and you go over that cliff. You have to find a place you can get up and down. But when you get down on the banks of the river, I mean of the Lake Superior, you'll have a lot of dark sand, and it's just regular brown sand. But there's some places of it that it'll show up black looking. Well, that's usually where your black sands are. Is where your gold is deposited also. But there's some places you don't. You would think there would be black sand, but you don't see any. And when you got a lower level depression and the water from the waves comes in on this lower spot and it goes all the way to the cliffs almost. And then when it does that, it'll wash back out real fast. Well, what it does when it does that, it pulls that lighter sand back with it and covers up all the black sand. But you take a shovel and you find them low spots like that, and you dig down usually less than a foot and you'll get into the black sand. And when you do, it'll be just as black as that screen right there. Well, it lit up. This side, it'd be just that black because it's a lot of metal. The black sand is, it's got a lot of metal content, and it's heavy, and it's the next heaviest thing that's in there besides the gold. And it will concentrate just above the gold. So wherever you find black sand, you don't always find gold. But most generally, where you find gold, you do find black sand to a certain amount. But I've seen sand that didn't have no black sand that still had gold in it. But you can literally get rich if you learn how to uh, work the beaches and get the black sand and the gold and make it an everyday thing, and you can get a lot of gold. But you have to learn how to clean them and separate them. And that little information that I was going to give Jeff is, uh, well, I can't think of what his handle was. I don't like to have to call him by his name, but I can remember that, seemed like. But he'll be up here probably at 12. He said he'd been keeping an eye on me. But anyhow, uh, you can run a high banker and get a lot of that gold. Or you can now. I don't know what the restrictions are on dredging up in Michigan. I haven't been up there in years, and I don't know what they've changed and what they haven't changed. Now, uh, back when I was a mining up there, uh, we could use high bankers anywhere along the cliff wall, and we could use dredges, portable dredges, 3, 4, and 5 inch. And we just couldn't mess up the beach. We had to fill in any holes we left. Of course, Waze would generally do that for us as soon as we left it, but we had to go take a shovel and fill a lot of them back in. But a lot of gold in it on them beaches, and you got to realize Lake Superior gets just as rough as the ocean does on a smaller scale. It can sink boats uh, just all the Great Lakes can. They can get violent, and you can be out there on a blue sky day. I mean, nothing but sunlight and sky, and you look away for a little while, and then look back to the west. All of a sudden, there's a dark cloud up there, and before you know it, it can be right on you, just a pouring the snow, and it dead summertime. I, my dad come up there to visit me one time, and I took him out to All Train Basin to go fishing, and it was just the clearest sky you ever seen. I told Dad when we was going, I said, "Where's your coat at?" He said, "Well, I ain't gonna wear no coat." I said, "You'll need a coat." I said, "I've got mine." And I said, "You'll need it. Be wishing you had it." He said, "Well, I ain't gonna take no coat. It's 70 some degrees. I'm gonna get warmer before the day's over." I said, "Yeah, but where we're going, it can also get colder just as fast as it got warmer." Well, he didn't listen to me, dads. And we got up there, and we we done caught 2 or 3 trout, uh, German browns, and had caught a couple smallmouth bass. And I looked back toward Marquette, and boy, oh boy, there was a awful bad looking cloud. What it does, it gets the warm air coming off the water gets mixed with the cold air. It's trying to settle on the water, and it causes a storm. It's called lake effect rain or lake effect snow. And I seen it coming, and so we was down pretty close to the dam at that time, which made us about a mile to go to where we put in at. And I started headed back that way, and I got, of course, just using a sculling paddle. Didn't have no trolling motor. We had a gas motor, but didn't like to use it unless there's emergency. And I thought I could beat the storm no farther than I had to go. We got almost 3/4 away to where we put in at, and it started spitting little round balls of snow and kind of almost to ice, but not quite. And before we got to the car and got hooked up, my dad was sitting there in that boat, and he was already starting to do like this. And he was just a shaking. He said, "Boy, it's cold." I said, "This coat I got on kind of keeping me warm." I said, "You should have brought your coat." I said, "You want mine?" He said, "No." He said, "I'll make it." Well, we wasn't far from the. I would have insisted if we'd too far off, and it really hadn't got that cold yet, but it's cold enough for snow to form 200 or 300 feet in the air and fall down on you. And by the time we got to the truck, and like I say, we didn't have about a quarter of a mile to go when they started spitting that little snow because we'd already about 2/3 of the way. And by the time we got to the car, it had turned into well heavy, wet snow with flakes about that big around. And it had done put probably a half inch on the ground already. And we got the boat loaded up, and we headed back to K.I. Sawyer where I was stationed at. And by the time we got there, it had snowed 6 inches. And it was all lake effect snow, all gone the next morning. But it had already done its thing. But we caught a lot of fish and had a good time anyhow, so it didn't make no difference. And but I had some good experiences up there. I come in on leave one time, and well, I said it was leave. It was, but it was a 7 day pass is what it was. Uh, I was coming in to get ready to come home after I got out of service, out of the Air Force, and I was going to switch over to the Army. And so I came home and I got my cousin to come back with me to Michigan, and I promised take him trout fishing and muskie fishing, and he did. He came back with me, and Sergeant Jones and myself and Terry was my cousin's name. We went out to go muskie fishing and trout fishing, and when we got there, All Train Basin, uh, we got our poles fixed up, got in the water, and uh, we got in the water and we got out to where we was going to start trolling, and darndest fog set in on that lake you ever seen. We couldn't see from one end of the boat to the other, and you didn't have but about 3 or 4 foot disability in front of your boat. Well, we was a trolling down through there, and the boat was already headed the way we wanted to go toward the dam, and we had about a 300-foot wide path that we wanted to stay in, and we pretty well stay in it, but once in a while, if you get turned around, you can get out of it. And we was had went a little ways, and we started hearing a put 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 motor sound, and I told uh, Sarge, I said, "There's a boat around us here somewhere with an outboard on it." I said, "I hope they don't hit us." And about that time, uh, we had somebody take a hold of the front of her boat. We didn't see him until he took a hold of it, and it was the game warden. He had put it around there, and he was listening to her voice, and he was coming toward her voice, and he was looking for us because we put the boat in. We left the car over there, and so he figured he better come out and check her license. And we showed him our license and everything. Everything was good. I'd bought Terry a 3-day license, I believe it was. Wasn't much. I can't remember how much it was, but wasn't much. And so we were sitting there talking, and game warden said, "Well, I better get on back here. So it's going to take a while for me to get there where I'm going through this fog." And of course, he knew that lake like the back of his hand. And so he took off and just putting along, and probably wasn't doing 2 mile an hour, if that. And we'd been out a little while, and of course, all of a sudden, and I'd say we'd been gone from him for about at least a couple of minutes, maybe 3. And all of a sudden, boy, my line went tight. My reel started singing, and of course, I had a hold of it, and I set that hook, and boy, I had a fight on my hands. And I told Jonesy, I said, "Jonesy, I think this would be my biggest muskie I've ever caught, if that's what it is. Or if it's a trout, it'd be way above my trout limit that I've had caught." And I fought that thing for 30, 35 minutes, I guess it was. Or at least it seemed that long. I don't really remember, but it was long enough that the sun was starting to burn the fog off a little bit. And the closer I got that thing to the boat, the more noise I was hearing. And it sounded like somebody laughing. Now, we done thought about this thing being a record. And we already had the money spent. And wouldn't you know it, after about 35 minutes of fighting this thing, here comes the game warden right up next to the boat, laughing himself to death. He had went in the opposite direction that we went, and I was out about probably pretty close to 100 yards away from my boat. And when he went across my line, my bait got in those turbulence of water, and it just turned upside down, and the hooks hooked right into the rib of the John boat in which he was in. So instead of fighting a fish that was spinning my reel so fast, and I was trying to slow it down, and it was cutting my knuckles, boy, it was tearing me up. And I was enjoying every minute of it. And come to find out, I done caught a Johnson 4 or 5 horsepower motor that was idling. And it ain't no easy thing to pull in a Johnson 4 or 5 horsepower motor, especially when you can't see it. All kinds of things can run through your head. This is the biggest muskie I've ever had a hold of. But when I got him in, he stopped pulling, and I stopped pulling. And I don't remember how much weight string I was using, but he never did turn his engine off. He just let it put, and I pulled him back to my boat with that. Of course, it was the same rod that I would have used for lake trout if I was fishing for lake trout, and they can get up 75, 80, 100 pounds all the time. And so it would have been a fun time if that had been a lake trout instead of a Johnson 4 or 5 horsepower motor. But we had so much fun, and that game warden laughed himself to death. It made his day that he was caught by an old Kentucky boy and reeled him in. But one of them things that happens when you're fishing. And I'd like to hear the tales he's told over the years to his kids about the time he got caught by an angler in another boat just like what he was in, a John boat. But it was a fun time. I know my cousin Terry has thought about that a many time in his life because he was right there and witnessing. We all thought we had a big record. It was just a fun time. But at the same time, we had to end it with a downhearted because it wasn't no fish. But we made the best of it and had a lot of fun with it. But I think I told this on one of my stories on YouTube or TikTok or something. But it was a great time. We don't have no body on yet with us. We're still 0-0, 0 participants and 0 likes and 0 chat. That's 3 for 3. I'd like for somebody to get on there, but I guess nobody's run across it and heard anything. But I know that my brother Larry or brother-in-law Larry's probably on there. Let me give him a call and see if he made it on there. I'll give him a call and I'll be right back with you here. Might as well get him on there. It's ringing. Yeah, did you find me on YouTube?
No, I could.
Well, it's on there now. Just go and it'll be probably the. I'll hold the phone in my hand so you can see the phone. And we ain't got nobody watching or anything yet, but they'll come on there eventually.
What's it called? Papa and Deal?
Yeah, Papa and Deal.
P-A-P. What?
Papaw
Okay.
space AND space Dill DILL.
Okay.
And we're talking about a fishing trip made up in Michigan. Took my cousin up there with me, and we thought we had a world record muskie caught, and it ended up being a 4 or 5 horsepower Johnson motor and the game warden. But it was fun telling about it anyhow.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get over and find it.
All righty, I'll hold the phone in my hand so you can tell the difference. And then in the other, you just look for it just like you would all of them. Wouldn't be no difference.
Okay.
And I'll be holding the phone in my hand.
Okay.
All right. Catch you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. But yeah, I bet my cousin has told that story 20, 30 times probably, or maybe 100 times. I don't know. Because he was only, say, I think he's about 16, 17 at that time. And he took out of school. I best I remember to go with me. But that was good education for him, getting up there, a place he never been before. But things like that happen. A sergeant friend, Sergeant Jones and myself fished all the time together. And we had another sergeant friend that liked to fish, but we never did take him with us. And me and Jones had decided that we was going to fish on the bank. We found a place where the channel just come right in by the bank, and this bank was good and clean, no trash on it, no trees or anything. You could cast without ever getting hooked up or anything. And we decided we was going to get us some golden shiners and fish for some muskie and possibly some German browns over there. And so this other friend of ours said, well, if y'all not using the boat, how about me taking the boat out and using it? And we said, that'd be fine. And I said, you come looking for us. I said, there's a cut in the trees, and you'll be able to see us from that cut. And when you see us, you be in the main channel right there, and you anchor there, and you can catch all kinds of pike right there. And so we watched for him, and I better get this phone up there. Larry won't know where we're at. And we got there, and we started fishing, and it wasn't long that he made himself, our other friend in the boat, he made his way out to where he could see us through that cut through it. It was only about 20 foot wide, so it wasn't hard. It wasn't going to be mistaken for another one, and he'd know that he was in the right place because he could see us standing on the bank. And he was about 150, 200 yards away from us, so. And so anyhow, we got out there and we got to fishing, and I think we'd already caught one or two before he got out there. But as we was there, we was getting hits, and we could almost time it when we was going to get a hit because there was just one after another, only maybe like 2 or 3 minutes between the hits. So we got us a couple little sticks apiece, and we started taking those sticks and hitting them together like that, just hitting like that. And we'd say, here, pike, 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 here, pike, 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 pike. And about that time, we'd get a hit. And we done that probably, now we turned all of our fish loose. In fact, we caught a lot of fish twice, on the same day a lot of times when we fish from the bank like that. But we started here, pike, 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 pike. and muskie and pike both are of the pike same family. And I don't know how many times we done that, and then all of a sudden, our buddy was sitting out there, and he wasn't catching nothing, and we heard him get him a couple little sticks he broke off of a tree out there, and he was hitting them together, trying to keep it where we couldn't hear it. He was going here, pike, 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 here, pike, pike, pike. We had to all just laugh at that, and I don't think he caught a muskie. I believe he caught a couple of trout that day. I don't think he caught a muskie all day, and we was catching muskie one right after the other. I think the smallest one we caught that day was about 18 pounds, and caught one or two up to close to 40 pounds. But we was having a blast. But that's just the way fishing is, you know. He was in a good spot. He was just, I guess, wasn't holding his mouth right. But I think Larry's having trouble finding that. Uh, there it is, Larry. Telephone. And anyhow, uh, I don't know. It's a lot of stories I can tell about up there about fishing and gold prospecting. But you want an audience to be here when you tell them to get the most fun out of it. And today we're not having. We done been on 36 minutes and 30 seconds, and we ain't got the first person to join the channel yet. And not even Larry. He's my brother-in-law. I still, I didn't disown him because my wife passed away. It was his sister. We brother-in-laws for life, as I'm concerned. But you know, a lot of people do that when somebody's wife died. If they're outside the family and say uh, a guy's wife dies and his brothers and sisters tell them they're no longer part of the family. I've got some of mine over in Ohio that's kin to me, and when some of them died, they tell the spouse, "Hey, you're no longer part of the family," and they wouldn't have nothing to do with them. Of course, when I found out they done that to some of them, I didn't have nothing else to do with them because I, I didn't want to be somebody like that. Uh, Drain the Swamp, that's his name. Yeah, glad to have you there. Jeff, wasn't it? I believe that was what your name was. And lost it at the boat, but that nothing because you old boys were catching 40 pounders. Well, you know, up there at Old Train Basin, uh, if you had, of course, you had to learn uh, the best rig that worked up there, and which was almost like a catfish rig. We put a sliding sinker on the bottom and put the bait about 3 4 foot above it, and let it have a floater on it underwater, just like you rig up for catfish. And we that's what we would use to catch them. The more we slayed them up there. Of course, we turned everything loose. Um, we caught a lot of 18, 19 pounders, but 20 and 30. But we would average at least uh, two or three 35, 40 pounders. And I can't remember how much the record was up there in Michigan. Um, but I think I'm pretty sure it was up quite a bit higher than 40 pounds. I just don't know what it was. I don't even know what it is today. But we caught some ungodly fish, and when we use the same rig and reels that we use for lake trout because back then, uh, old soldier boy couldn't afford a different type of fishing equipment for different species of fish. He usually just had one heavy action rod and for all the big fish and used that on the little ones. And then he had an ultralight for the crappie and perch. Of course, the best eating perch in the world is what you catch right up there around Michigan. Those greenish yellow striped perch is outstanding. And I drained the swamp. I've got a number here. If you get your pencil, let me know when you get it, and I'll give you that URL for my goal page, as you can get a lot of information off of. You just let me know. Yeah, I remembered Jeff. I thought it was Jeff, but you let me know when you got a pencil, and I'll read this off to you. Because I held it up to the light, you couldn't read my writing. I don't think. No, well, you might, but kind of blurry. Okay, you ready? It's www dot, and this is all in small case letters that you put into the computer. Okay, www dot angel, ANGEL, fire, all one word, FIRE.com, angelfire.com, and / Kentucky, and then / goal page / And when you put that in, now tell me if you want me to read it again to make sure I got it. We got a 10-second delay on everything here. It'll take a minute to get through to him. Looks like Larry might have made it on too. Got it. Okay. Angelfire.com / Kentucky / goal page / and you put that in, and it'll be an orange page come up called Roger's goal page. And you just print that off and have or leave it on your computer and read it, and you get a lot of insight about me and my family and Scrappy. And you'll enjoy it, I think. And if you want to take off a minute and go look that up and then come back to the page, let me know if you found it okay. Not, we'll go through that thing again, let you try to find it. But yeah, we've been talking about a little bit of gold and a little bit of fishing up there in Michigan. And that little town that you told me about, I've been thinking about where I saw that at. I was thinking it might have been up in the UP, but I believe I was going from Detroit to Lansing on what is it, that road, 96? Interstate 96 or 69, something like that. And it seemed like it was just to the north of that roadway, that interstate that goes over to Lansing. And I might be wrong, but I used to travel for the military from Detroit into other parts of Michigan all the time. A lot of times we'd take jet engines if we had a plane went down around close to Detroit there, because that's where they would ship it to get it revive it and get it fixed. There's an air base there, and I can't remember what the name of it is. It's been too many years ago, but they had the last time I was there, I was took a B-52 engine down to. We had a B-52. It had to make emergency landing there, and that was the last time I was in Detroit. But good country along in there. A lot of good people. I also liked. I would come down to what was the name of that city? Traverse City, Michigan. Along, they had a golf course there that I would bring my family down to, and we would spend a couple nights in a motel there, and kind of take a little R&R to get away from the hustle and bustle of the military life. And we would play on that golf course. And the reason at that time the military got to uh, play for half price on the green fees and stuff, and we enjoyed that. And of course, my son was too small to play. We had to use a stroller for him, but he went right along with us, and he enjoyed himself immensely. And I don't. I guess they still got that golf course. I can't even remember the name of it now. But uh, Traverse City is a beautiful, beautiful town. I always liked it there. Good restaurants. And I never noticed if they had any nightlife or not, but I'm sure they did because it was a hustle and bustle little town. Um, and I'm sure you've probably been there, Jeff. Marquette, up there where I was stationed uh, at KI Sawyer, uh, it had a couple nice nightclubs, and me and the wife, we would had some good friends that would babysit us one time. We go every now and then. I think maybe 3 times a year we would go to a nightclub and do a little dancing and to kind of have a date, for a night or two. And uh, at beautiful place up there, but there was only like 2 or 3 nightclubs that I know of in Marquette. It was kind of small. I'm sure it's big, a lot bigger now because that was back in oh 70, no 60. See, I got home from Nam in January or February. I can't remember which of '68. So I was there in Marquette '69 and '70, part of '71, and enjoyed it immensely. But enough talking about my things and go talking about other things. Um, I had a boy ask me night before last if military was a good life, and I said, well, uh, to me it was. I said I wouldn't have nothing without gold prospecting and military life. I wouldn't have nothing that I could be proud of because uh, um, you know just the military pay. Military pay is good because you don't uh, need a whole lot. They furnish you if you're a single man. They furnish you food and stuff. Of course, I was on. I got food allowance and everything in with my pay. I don't even remember what they call that now, but I got a certain amount a month to buy food with, and besides just what I made, and it was called clothing allowance and food allowance, stuff like that. But sure did love the military, and I miss it immensely. If I ain't got one of these hats on that says something about the military or a T-shirt, um, I did. I was pouring concrete today, so it was cool here, and I had to get this little gray insulated shirt out and kind of stay warm with it. But we got the concrete poured, and it looked good. And uh, my future daughter, or granddaughter-in-law, told me that I ought to took a picture of us doing it, and I said, well. I said, I can't work and take pictures. And I know that I could set the tripod up and it would take a picture, but it's too much moving around, you know. And I don't know how to edit, so everything I shoot is just the way I shoot it. I don't edit nothing because I don't know how. And my grandson hasn't had time to show me how to edit yet. And but anyhow, uh, it's I enjoy this YouTube. I'm doing it for my youngest grandson, hoping that what in the world were you pouring? Uh, do you mean in that green pan that's on the in that picture? If that's what you're talking about, that green pan. Uh, oh yeah, concrete. Yeah, I had a. I thought you were talking about that pan that's in that picture on the gold page. When we started taking the pickers out of that pan, there was way over an ounce of gold in there. We took out several pickers and all kinds of. Uh, well, we took out several nuggets and all kinds of little pickers, and then a lot of flour gold. But I was pouring where I had my old garage at. We had an earthquake here back in oh 80 something. I don't remember what it was, and it busted my wall on my garage, and it was about an 8 foot tall wall that the garage set on all the way around it, and then I had it poured with concrete in the middle of it for the cars to set in, and it was going. Uh, my neighbor built or his house was built about within about 15 or 20 foot of the line property, line fence. And if my as my wall got older, it was separating a little bit each year, and it was leaning toward his house. And so I had to tear that garage down and tear that wall down, and so it wouldn't fall into his house. Or I didn't want to have to build him a new house, and I didn't want to have to tear it down, but there was no other choice because there's a a quarry, a limestone quarry that runs completely under my town. And when they blast at night, it causes a little tremor, and every time it tremors, my garage wall would move just a little bit more. And I wasn't going to take a chance, so I tore it down. And we tore it down a year ago, and we're just now getting we got everything fixed up, and uh, we poured it today. The porch on that side of the house that went between my garage and my house and the driveway, and of course I didn't pour the whole driveway or anything like that. I just poured my porch and the patio little part that comes off of it. Actually, not big enough to be a patio, but it's be a place to sit, in summertime. Got a patio on the backside of the house, but that's what we was pouring, and uh, it took us about 4 hours to get it poured and finished. Say three yards of concrete on the porch and patio, and then my buddy runs a concrete place. He sent me an extra yard out of goodness of his heart, and I put that on my driveway. That where the old garage used to sit, I just made a driveway on that side of the house go back to my other garage that I work on cars and stuff in, and So anyhow, with all that, I was about 4.5 hours out there working on that, and we got it finished and looks real good. Now the next thing is to gradually get my roof over the porch and the little sit place that we got, and uh, that'll take us about oh, probably a month to get that done. Because my son helps me, and he has to be off on the weekend sometimes, and when he's not going fishing, well, we'll work on the porch a little bit. I'm in no hurry. I'm 80 years old. I ain't gonna get to use it much anyhow, but uh, we'll get it done so the grandbabies can use it. And did you look? Did you look up that page to see if it come up all right? Drain the swamp. It it only took us from the time we started pouring till we got it done about 4.5 hours. And the only reason it took that long, we had to wait for it to start setting up before we finished the top of it and get it the way we wanted it. But oh, okay. Uh, www.angelfire.com/Kentucky /gold page / we'll do that 2 or 3 times. We ain't got nobody else but me and you on here anyhow. Nobody else has joined in. My brother-in-law was on there, but he evidently couldn't find the channel. He has a hard time finding different things on it. Just watching regular TV. He's getting up there. He's about oh 10, 15 years behind me, a little younger than I am. Oh, yeah, it's /Kentucky gold page. Oh, wait a minute. /Kentucky /gold page. Okay, let me give it to you again. At www dot forward excuse me, I'm sorry, www dot angelfire.com. Now, at Angelfire, it's spelled ANGELFIRE, all small case letters. And then the /, and then after the first /, then you got Kentucky, and then you got another /, and then gold page, all one word, GOLDPAGE, and then another /, and that should pull up. And that last / has got to be on there. It won't work. But anyhow, yeah. Huh. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. Have you got a way? I mean, uh, an email address? If you do, uh, you send it to me, and or you send me a message or whatever you want to do on this here, and then so I can get your email address, and then I'll email this back to you the way it's supposed to be. How about that? But it's hard to do things when you got that delay in there, and they make you have that delay, and 10 seconds is the least I can put on it as far as I know. And I haven't tried zero delay, but I don't think they let you do it that way because they got to be able to get in there and shut something out if they hear something that ain't right. And well, can you go to my uh, not my web page, my YouTube, where you pull up on go to YouTube and pull up my channel, and uh, darn, I don't know. I'll give you mine. I don't care if mine's out there or not, because everybody's already got it anyhow. It's R, the small R, 402 at, that little insignia, hotmail.com. R402 at hotmail.com. And you send me your email or whatever address, and I'll mail it to you if you want to do it that way. And we'll get that to you one way or the other. If you can send me that to my email, what you want me to have, and I'll I'll write it down for you, and so it'll go through. Just one little thing on Hotmail. If it's out the least bit, or you got a space between your dots and your next letter, it won't let you. It won't go through. Uh, okay, all righty. And do you have you figured out how to send it to my YouTube channel? Okay, all righty, it'll work. And and I'll get it, and I'll write that out, and I'll put it back to you in an email. Sounds good to me. How about you? I would print the whole thing off and send it back to you, but doggone it, my printer is not won't work on this computer that I got set up here. I got another printer over here on the floor, and I'm going to have to hook it back up to it. This computer I'm running this studio on ain't got near the power and the stuff that it takes to run that printer of mine. And but we get it pulled up for you, and you can copy it on yours and have it whenever you need it. And if you like that information that tells about the gold stuff, how to amalgamate it and separate it and stuff like that, and you want to share it with friends, it don't bother me at all. If you want to charge them for getting it typed up and stuff, that don't bother me at all because I don't try to make money off of it. And I used back before they had uh, this is what we're talking on YouTube and stuff like that, and the telephones the way they are now. People used to order that in a pamphlet form. I had a pamphlet printed up, and I would send out 200 or 300 pamphlets sometimes, and I'd have to charge $10 because by the time I had the pamphlets printed up and then bought envelopes and put the postage on them, uh, and went back and forth to uh, post office. I had about $10 worth of time in it, and because I lived in a rural setting most of the time, and it was a long ways to post office, but made it work. And then after got these email things and all that kind of stuff, I just give it to them free. I didn't care. I wasn't trying to make money off of it. I made my money off the gold, and I'm sure you can understand all that. Has you ever been fishing, Jeff, in that uh, All Train Basin I'm talking about up there in the UP, or do you get up there much? I want you to remember, if you can, to hit that like button on for me, Jeff. And if you uh, not in the UP, mostly Lake Michigan. Okay. Well, a lot of coho in Lake Michigan. I used to fish for coho down there. Um, but JTN. Uh, anyhow, um, first time they opened up a season up there for coho, I went down to oh, what was the name of that town? We have to get on the map. You can almost just drop straight down from Munising down to Lake Michigan. It's about 45, 50 miles, maybe a little more. And we've come out in a creek, at a creek there. I can't remember, uh, Whitefish Creek or something like that. Yeah. Uh, I got your drift on that. Yeah, so that was where I've seen that little town of yours in. Evidently, it was between Detroit and Michigan. Now, what is that highway? It's 96, isn't it? Or 69, something like that. I can't remember which it was. But if you're going from Detroit to Lansing, it's kind of on the north side of the interstate, right? If I, yeah, 96. Oh, is it 196? Okay, okay. I couldn't remember the one, but I remember the 96. Okay, yeah, on the north side of it, wasn't it? Yeah, it's been a long time ago. Back in oh 60, latter part of 68, 69, 70 in there. That was I was still fairly young man back then. Now I'm pushing 81 now. I'll be 81 my birthday. And I can remember stuff back then, uh, like stories I've been telling and stuff, just like it's yesterday. But I can't remember last week. I done. I can remember your name, first name was Jeff, but I couldn't remember what your handle was because I didn't write it down last night. And but I remember the Jeff part. I got to try to get my fonts a little bigger on this computer. I could see it without my glasses if it was a little bit bigger. Because I only have to use these glasses for reading, and I'm probably 3 foot away from my, or maybe 4 foot away from my screen. But I can wear these glasses to see it all right. If I had my fonts just a little bit bigger, I could put these glasses down and I could see even better. But do have you ever been up to Traverse City very much? Um, there used to be an island. If I say that right, an island uh, out in Lake Michigan. It's north of Traverse City. I'm wanting to say uh, about halfway up the coast and almost to where you turn right to go over to Sault Ste. Marie. And there's I believe that island there called South Fox Island or maybe Fox Island. I can't remember what it was actually called. Seems like it was South Fox Island. Maybe they got just a regular Fox Island too. I don't know. But I used to like to get around that island. I would come down. Me and Jonesy would come down there every once in a while, and around that island, the South Fox one, they especially on the northern side of it. I said the north. I'm sorry, on the southern side of it, we catch more smallmouth in there, and Carter's got liver pelt. And at the same time, we was catching the smallmouth, we'd catch yellow perch, and we would catch a smallmouth, throw them back. Now the yellow perch we keep because oh man, them things are great eating. Torch Lake, um, yeah, and right up there, kind of on the southwest side of Traverse. No, excuse me, southeast side of Traverse City. Wasn't there a Fife Lake, if I remember correctly, Fife, uh, there by Traverse City? Not too far from Traverse City, maybe like 10, 12 miles, or maybe even less. I don't remember. But it's called Fife Lake. A 21-inch smallmouth on Lake Erie. That's nice smallmouth, anybody. That'll give you a jolt when they hit. Uh, you've heard of Fife Lake? Yeah. Uh, I, I was in a nightclub up there one time at Marquette, and I met a college girl that was working in the nightclub as a hostess, and she was from Fife Lake, and she had a brother that done a lot of fishing, and we become friends. Now I didn't date her or anything like that. We were just friends because I was married at the time. But would have been a beautiful girl to date. She was beautiful. But she invited me down there so her brother could take me fishing, and he took me on a fishing trip. And I can't remember where I was so tired time I got there. Uh, I slept all the way on to the lake, and I don't remember where the lake was that he took me. It was all about a 2 or 3 hundred acre lake, not too far from Fife Lake. I think because it didn't take us that long to get there, but I can't remember the name of it or even what direction it was at. But we had a pretty good time. He knew the lake real well. We caught a lot of smallmouth, nothing any great size, but on average, 2.5 pound, maybe 3 sometimes. But hey, that's a 2.5, 3 pound smallmouth by its heart. They'll break your wrist if you let them. That's the ice fishing perch on Lake St. Clair is a lot of fun. Uh, 12 to sometimes 16 inches. Yeah. Uh, I think that's usually about the range that we caught them up there at Ishpeming and wherever we fished at in the northern peninsula. And there might have been some bigger than that. I don't know. I can't remember. But usually, like you say, about 12 to 16 inches. And boy, that was good eating. I loved them things. And a lot of people talk about the smelt. They go out and catch garbage bag fulls of smelt or garbage can fulls, really, and fill up a truck load with them and go home and clean them all night long. And I never could get into the smelt eating. Well, the ones I ate was good, but I wasn't going to stand all night cleaned. The most I would be able to eat was 15 or 20, maybe 30, because it was small, about like a sardine. And I couldn't get into the smelt fishing. Um, I want to, I'm going to fish. I want a cane pole or at least a rod and reel or a cane pole in my hand and catching them. And I like ultralight on them perch, but I really liked it up there. I think if I could have spent another 4 years up, I might have ended up living up there. But I had to come back south for the military. Uh, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they did not exist anymore. Lord, they used to come in there. You could take a real fine mesh seine on a hoop, and you could run down in there and catch it full every swipe. I'd see people. Of course, now I didn't do it because I wasn't going to do it. I didn't like fishing that way. But I've seen people stand there and catch them, uh, one scoop right after another, and 3 scoops would fill up a garbage can to where you could carry it. If you got any fuller, you couldn't carry it. And they fill the back end of a pickup or a station wagon, or set them in their cars, and they just went crazy over them things. And they was good, but there wasn't enough there to pay me to. I just didn't enjoy the the way you caught them. Training them back in the day, people would catch 500 gallons. Yeah, I agree. I believe that. I believe that very, very much so. And you say they're just almost non-existent now. Now, is that the same way with the other lakes? They the same way? Because I'm sure all the other lakes, Lake Superior, and all of them had smell also. I'm not positive, but there's all the same water eventually at one place or another. Yeah, they are good eating, uh, but I just didn't like to fish that way. Uh, and for there are still a fed in the rivers up way up north. Okay, I can catch that along. Um, Now, did they put more king salmon in there along with the cohos or what? Did they stock it to get it that way to where they ate them all? Because them things was just plentiful. I just find it hard, that the amount of king salmon and cohos that were up there, that they could eat that many. Yeah, if they kept breeding good like it was always had. Because, Lord, there was billions of them things that would come up into one river. Them, them, them smelt. Was they originally a saltwater fish that came up into fresh water and bred and had laid eggs, or have they always been a freshwater fish? I really don't know that much about them because I never did get hooked on catching them. They weren't so bad. They washed ashore and were terrible. Huh. Yeah, I never did hear anybody say where they originated from, but uh, uh, I mean, the first time I fished for them one time, and when they told me that they were there to be caught, I couldn't see them because it was dark. And my buddies one had the light. I didn't know you had to have a light to catch them, but I just had a regular old 2 cell flashlight with me, and I dipped that net that I bought the fish for them, get them with, and I raked upstream with them, kind of against the current, and Lord, that thing, I couldn't hardly pick it up out of the water. It had so many in it. I expect they was, oh, 20 gallon or 30 in that net. Maybe not quite that much, but it felt like that much, especially against that current. And I filled up one washing tub, and I said I didn't have a freezer or anything except what was one above my refrigerator. And I said to myself, if I take all them home, uh, they're going to spoil before I get there, half of them before I get them clean. And so I give them to my buddy, and I took me, I think, about 10, 15 pounds of them to fix and myself. And I never did fish for them again. So I never did inquire about where they come from or anything like that because it just wasn't my cup of tea, but they were good. And I bet best I remember the way I fixed them. Uh, I'm wanting to think that I powdered them with cornmeal, I think, on mine, and threw them in the cooker with. I believe I had olive oil in it, the best I remember, because that's what I generally used to cook in. And I might have had a Western oil or something. I don't really remember, but I usually used olive oil most of the time because I always liked olive oil. It smoked less. And I fixed them and ate those. Me and the wife, we ate those at one time, and we both liked them because you could eat bones and all if you cook them good and crisp, and they were good. But they wasn't. I just didn't like the way you fish for them, and I just couldn't get into it. Uh, Those smelt stores are amazing. I only dip for them on the St. Clair River, 20 feet deep off of the wall on Port Huron. Yeah, I can see that in my mind. That'd be ooh, a 20 foot deep. That's having to use a long pole, isn't it? Yeah. Uh, there's a lake north of people ice fish for them with like 10 hooks on the line. Oh, I didn't even know you could catch them on hooks. What ultralight? That's what they use, I guess. But I didn't know you could catch them that way on hooks. That'd be a mighty small hook, wouldn't it? That'd be like a goldfish hook, small little rascal. I've never been on Lake Sinclair or uh, St. Clair River. I mean, uh, isn't there a Lake Sinclair, or am I wrong? I might be thinking of the river. I know where Port Huron is. One and a half gallon lemon. That's unbelievable that you're down to. People used to weight their pickup trucks down with them things, and now you're only allowed a 1.5 gallon. Well, that's enough for about maybe if two people's eating 2 meals. Is that about right? 1.5 gallon. You know, it's weird how things like that can happen, but it just don't seem uh, possible that them things could go at extinct at one that short period of time. Of course, it's 50 years or 60, but uh, I would have never in my life dreamed that they would have been almost gone. And at that, a gallon and a half per person, that is almost gone compared to what it used to be. Um, it's unreal. And I never forget just how excited. Now, there was a lot of uh, airmen in the Air Force that, oh, they would get so excited. And for 2 weeks, boy, we're going on a smelt run. We're going to have a great time. They just build it up, like it was a great thing. And it was to them. They had a great time. Uh, and come back with, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 pails. I'm talking about 50, uh, I believe it's 30-gallon garbage pails. It's like one that you set out on next to the road, the trash man to pick up. Uh, and they'd bring back 10 or 12 of them in the back. Well, pickup be full in the back of them. And it just seems unreal. I hate to hear that because them people enjoyed that so much. Like I say, I couldn't get into it, but everybody don't take to the same way of fishing. And uh, of course, now I get out when I go catfishing. I catch my own bait with a uh, little silver spoon and jigs. I make a Mitsubishi rig, or Mitsubishi rig. I can't say it. Ain't my lingo. but I know how to make it. And I put like three of little dial flies about that long on a Tabishi rig, and sometimes catch two, three skipjacks at a time on them. And that's what I use in most of my fishing around here. Uh, and I'll go out when it's not real suitable for fishing, and I'll get below the dam at one of the big rivers around here. We got lots of rivers here in Kentucky, and I'll catch uh, and put them in the freezer, and I'll put salt with them. For every fish I put in there, I put a handful of salt in the gallon bags, and I'll put two or three fish in a gallon bag and put them under vacuum and keep them all year and have plenty of bait. But Lord, uh, that's a lot bigger fish than them smell tar, and they're fun to catch. But yeah, that's really kind of heart heartening, disheartening, I should say. Uh, so much has changed. This country is not our father country. If my grandfather was here around, he would come unknown, unwound things that are going on today. Yeah, you're right. The same way back when I was up there. I mean, I know that makes just that one little item right there we talked about with the smell. Uh, that would make a tremendous change in the people that depended on them for food when that run, because they had freezers just to put them things in there, and would try to catch enough from the last all year. I remember them talking about it, but that's just unreal. But now back when I was up there, I went moose hunting, and I'm kind of a funny person. I don't kill anything if I'm not going to eat it, and if I think it's going to make a hardship on the animal by having to cripple it and then hunt it down for a week. I want something when I shoot it. I want to fall dead right in its tracks. So I always shoot for around the ear to kill them just like that. And that's the way I got my grandson trained. And I went up to well, we got a box, an old no aircraft, military aircraft that a friend of mine had made into a I believe it was a C-119, if I remember correctly, was the name of it. And he had stalls built in it. He could take, I believe it was 8 horses at a time and a crew of men on a hunting party. And we went moose hunting, and over where we went, just straight across from the lake from Marquette, straight across Lake Superior to a national park on the other side of the lake, and I can't right now can't recall the name of that park, but it wasn't too far from. Let's see, let me think of the name of that town. Uh, boy, I can't think of the name of it. Anyhow, where we was fishing was about 20 miles uh, south of that park, and uh, uh, oh, Marathon was the name of the town. It was about another 75 miles south of where we was going to hunt at, and that was the closest town. And the next town was way up north of that national park. I can't even begin to name. I never was there, and I can't remember the name of that town, but uh, that was the two closest towns around. And we went moose hunting up there, and there was this marsh that uh, was not too far off the uh, the lake. I think when we landed on the water, and then just pulled right up. He had that thing made with pontoons on it, and they had wheels too. And he'd land on the water, and then just let the props bring him right up on the land and unload the horses, and we get out. And we went over there before the hunt that was going on. We went over to scout for a couple of days, 3 days, I believe it was. And I was waiting, took my horse, and we went back through this swamp. And I come up after about a mile and a half into this swamp. I come up on a little island, and that little island, it wasn't over maybe 10 feet long and approximately 4 foot wide, or maybe six. And it had a stump, an old broken out tree. I think it had burned off, best I can remember. I'm not positive about that, but it seemed like that's what it was. It had, somebody had set a fire on it or something, and maybe got lightning hit by lightning, and it broke it out. And it was only like maybe 5 foot tall and about probably 20 inches round, or 30 at the most. And you could lean up against that tree, tie your horse up to it, and I done that, and I'm just sitting down resting my horse a while. I was going to go on through the marsh to the mainland, to where the marsh ended, and try to find some moose. Well, while I was sitting there, uh, I was surveying that water in that marsh, and I'd say within 2 hours, I saw at least 12 to 13, something like that, moose, uh, and all of them were uh, antlered. I don't know if uh, I don't think the cows get antlers that big, but uh, these were all antlered moose, and they's all big moose, and they just stick their head down that water. You can still see the antlers sticking up, and they'd eat that vegetation, and they wasn't a bit afraid of us. I don't think they'd ever seen a human. And we had bought tags from Canadian sports people. Best I remember back then, a moose tag was like for out of country personnel. Seems like it was around $30. I might be wrong on that, but it wasn't not near what we thought it was going to be. And you could have one moose on that tag, and you could only get one tag. And so I, on the way out, I took compass reading, and uh, kept the reading on my way out. So when I come back the next week, I could use the back asthma and come right to my little uh, place. And so we all went back in. I didn't come back out again because I found where I wanted to hunt. And I didn't. I stayed at the camp the next 2 days, just enjoyed my horse. We rode around our camp a little bit and saw a couple bear and kept away from them. But 2 weeks, I don't remember, it was a week and a half or 2 weeks later when the season was supposed to start, or at least when our hunt. I don't know. They might have had season all year long over. I don't know, but it's when we was going to start hunting. Uh, Buddy picked us up, and he flew us back over, and we got out. And the next morning, I got up, got my horse ready, and we went over to my little island, found it without any problem. And uh, the water was a little bit deeper, and that surprised me because it didn't have no rain. But and then somebody told me that the reason my knee deep water was almost waist deep because uh, those big marshes that's hooked up to the like Lake Superior have a little bit of tide, like the ocean does from the pull of the moon. I didn't know that. I still don't know it to be true. I mean, I guess that's what it was because it was a little deeper. It was almost it was up to my hips anyhow. I was about 6'1" or 6 foot, about 6 foot at the time, I think. I've shrunk a little bit since then. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think I was 6 foot or 6'1", and I'm down about 5'11" and a half now because my joints kind of shrink together. And so I got over to that little island, and this story is on YouTube. It's called Moose Hunt, and you can read it all again if you want to. But uh, I got on that little island, and I leaned up against that post, and it was still dark. It was probably I left camp at about 4 o'clock and got over about 5, and fed my horse some oats, and leaned up back against that post and kind of went to sleep. Well, when we was on the way over to that island, the sky and all around was crystal clear. I mean, it wasn't cloudy or nothing, boy. It was beautiful. And when I fell asleep for about, I don't know, about an hour, I guess, after I got over there, and of course the horse, I imagine he slept too because he could sleep standing up. But um, I woke up and the fog had set in on that little marsh, and you couldn't see 2 foot in front of you. You could hold your hand out there and barely see it. It was thick as pea soup, and I don't really know how thick pea soup is, but it's thick. And uh, I could hear these moose out there in that fog, putting their heads down and getting to eat and raising up. And I don't know. I kept listening to them and so forth for probably an hour after daylight and couldn't see a one. And long about, let's say it got daylight about 5:30 or 6, I think, somewhere along in there where you could actually start seeing. But, uh, well, I kind of take that back because at that time of the year, even in at nighttime, it was still light when it's in still the summertime, and it was probably still in last of August, first September when we went over, and so it was more or less because of fog we couldn't see nothing, but we could hear them things going down their heads. And I couldn't tell how many was out there, but I knew that more than one because some of them were a lot farther away than others. And I kept watching, kept watching. Well, along about 10 o'clock that morning, the sun was starting to peek through over above, and it was starting to burn that fog off. And every now and then, you'd have a little breeze would send a clear patch across in front of you, and you could see a little bit farther. And I kept watching for them little clear patches, and along about 10:30, I got my first glimpse at one of the moose that was real close to me. And now that little island that I was sitting on, when the water was high the way it was when I come over there, it was only about a foot and a half or two. Well, I don't think it's been 2 foot above the water level. And when the tide went down, uh, the water level was even farther because out where the moose was, it was only about up to their knees at the most. So the tide had evidently went down a little bit while I was there. And when I got to see that moose again, it was about 20 yards from me, and I was sitting on that old lawn, and I was kind of looking at an angle to the top of his head and his eyes. And I said, "Boy, this is a big moose." Well, I carried a little uh, camera with me. It was, what do they call them? A one-step Polaroid, I believe it was, little white camera, and it'd take a Polaroid picture in black and white. It wouldn't be in color, but it was in black and white. And I got that thing ready, and the next time I saw that moose, he was even closer. Uh, and I took a real quick snapshot, didn't even get it up to my eyes because it was moving. The cloud little cover was moving fast, and it wasn't going to be showing but a few seconds. And I think on that particular one, all I got was his rump. I didn't get a picture of his head or anything. So I said to myself, I'm going to have to be ready and have that thing up to my eyes. And I had that thing up there like that, and I was watching for this cloud breaking fog, which is nothing but clouds. And I see it drift over, and sure enough, I snapped a picture, and I got a nice picture of the head. And so I pulled it out the way you do and stuck it in my pocket, and it developed after a bit. And so when the fog got this burnt off a little bit more, well, that thing had worked its way up to about 10 feet of me. Because they eat slow. I mean, it'd take them 20 yards to get to where I was at. It'd take them 30, 40 minutes. Well, the sun burns off a lot in that length of time. And when it got that burnt off, and I looked at that moose again, it wasn't over 10 feet from me, and I was looking up at him like that. And I was above the water level about 1.5 feet. And I looked at that thing, and I said, Lord, there ain't no way me and that horse could pack out of here. Uh, Take at least 4 trips, because up there you couldn't leave the entrails. You had to take the entrails out. You had to take every piece of that moose out. And we carried bags to put the entrails in, plastic bags to put them in, and put them in a cloth bag and tie them up. And that would have still been, that moose probably weighed 1,200, 1,400 pounds. And plus the antlers, and the head is gigantic. And I made up my mind. I had a 30-06. I reloaded all my own ammo, and I knowed exactly where to shoot that thing at that close range to still get maximum kill power with it, which is right behind the ear. No big question there. And I was going to have to let him get by me just a little bit before I actually shot him behind the ear, and which wouldn't have been no hard thing to do because he wasn't scared of me at all. And I just kind of rotated around that thing. I already had my picture of his antlers and everything, and I just decided I wasn't going to shoot that moose. I had my trophy right there in the picture. It was already developed, and I took it out, and I pulled it out and looked at it, clear as a bell. That thing, I mean, it had the whole head in it, and I think it had one side complete on the rack, and the other side about half of it. And I said, that's good enough for me. I put it in my pocket, and after that moose got on back to where I knew I wasn't scared, I got up and got my horse ready, and put saddle on it and everything, and back across the marsh we went. And when I got to our camp, I built the fire up, and ate a few victuals, and boys started filtering in as it's getting all close to 3 or 4 o'clock, and first one come in and he said, "How'd you do?" I said, "Well, didn't get no moose as far as a trophy, but I said I got a good picture of him," and I showed him the picture. And he said, "You didn't shoot it?" I said, "No." I said, "It would took me and that horse 4 trips across that to get all that moose in here, and I wasn't going to put that horse through that." And I said, "Besides that, I'd have to at least walk it one way every time and then ride back the second time. And I wasn't going to do that because that was going to be an all day job, and I didn't have all day to do it because it's going to be dark. I have to do the rest of it the next day." And I said, "How'd you do?" He said, "Well, I didn't even see one." Well, the next guy, they was uh, 4 of us, and 3 friends and myself. And they started coming in. The other two, one of them came in, and he'd saw some, but he said, but they was too far away to shoot. And the other boy come in, and I think he saw one, and it was a cow, I believe, best I remember. No, I don't think we was allowed to shoot cows anyhow. And so uh, they got a kick out of me not shooting that one as close as I was to it. And I said, "Well, it just that was my choice, and that's the way I chose to do it." And I was the only one that came away with a trophy. To me, that picture was a trophy. It meant I done what I needed to do at the time, and I did it, and I lived with it, and I have never regretted it. I kept that picture for, of course, they was them pictures on them Polaroids were bad about fading out, especially if you left them in the sunlight. But I kept that thing in the dark inside of a book for years. Up into the '90s, I still had it, but it was getting faded to where you could barely tell it was a moose, even keeping it in the dark that way. And somewhere in a movement I made, bought buying property and moving to another location, I lost that picture. Or maybe it just faded out till there wasn't no more moose on it. I don't know, and I might have thrown it away. But uh, that was a moose hunt, the only moose hunt I ever went on. I considered it a trophy. A picture was all the trophy I needed. I enjoyed it just as much throughout my lifetime as though it was a big trophy. And I'm not one that puts a trophy on the wall anyhow. And I was well satisfied with it. And I didn't get no moose to eat, but I ate moose later on in my life on down the road. And it was good, but I like elk and whitetail better. But anyhow, that was the only moose hunt I ever went on. And it was a jip dandy as far as I was concerned. But a lot of boys didn't see that, think it would be a great experience, but it was. I went through a lot to just to get that moose up close enough that I could take that picture fighting that fog that way. But and I'm sure the horse appreciated it too. So it cost us about back at time. Uh, he was giving us a break on the amount the plane cost us. He didn't charge us for his services, but he had to charge us for the fuel because the fuel that plane burned a lot of fuel. And so we made a trip over and back and then to scout and then a trip over and back to hunt. And that was over and back. And then he had to come back and get us and take us back. So that was each time that was 4 trips. So that was 8 trips total. That's a lot of fuel. And I think the best I remember, of course, gas back in, even aviation gas was only like mm, 18, 20 cents a gallon. Best I remember. Maybe 21 or 22, but I think the whole trips, all 8 trips, over and back and over and back to get us, and then over and back and then over and back to get us. I think it ended up costing us around somewhere between $1,100 and $1,200, which wasn't bad for 4 men going on a hunting trip. and have to take a plane and horses to get there. Of course, we leased the horses from a farm there that had horses for hunting outfits. They outfitted hunters and they had horses, and we leased them. And seems like uh, per day on the horseback at that time, you furnished the food. It was like $20 a day, or if they furnished the food, it was like $30 a day. That's what I remember, but wasn't much, and it made every penny worth it just getting that picture. But Lord, I've done talked here like in 5 minutes, spent 2 hours, Jeff. Uh, I haven't looked to see what you've been saying. Uh, well, yeah, I might do that. Hunting and fishing, you say? Yeah, that's about what we've talked about, ain't it? Sure enough. I might take you up on that, Jeff. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, I have noticed my gold prospecting talks has bring a lot more viewers and so forth. But you know what I have trouble doing is getting the people to subscribe and give me a like on the uh, getting that thumbs up. Without that, you don't gain very much notoriety because, of course, the more you get on here, the more is going to watch you. When they're going to know when you go live, you can tell them. And I try to get on here now at least 5 days a week if I can, about around 5 to 6 o'clock every day. And I'll do that. I'll change that to hunting and fishing and see how that works. I appreciate that. I think 2 hours is long enough. We done uh, just burnt this thing up with this hunting and fishing, and it makes me feel good to be able to talk to somebody from some place that I've been there and I know what they're talking about when they talk about certain things. And catch you again. I had to catch up on my conspiracy channels. I got you. I watch them too, like Heavy Duty uh, County Channel. And uh, I'll tell you somebody I like. I don't know if you've seen him or not. Is Ron Yates. He's a black boy, well spoken, fine gentleman, and he talks about the Trump trials and the conspiracy things and so forth, and Fannie Willis and all them women that's trying to get Trump. He talks about him all the time, and I watch him all the time. Named Ron Yates. I don't know if you've watched him or not, but yeah, I'll be back on here tomorrow, Saturday. I won't promise I'll be on here uh, tomorrow. It seems like I have to do something. Oh yeah, uh, I think we're having. I got to go to a graduation party for my grandson. They had to. There's so many different things going on during graduation night. They couldn't get a church or a building or anything to have the graduation party in for my grandson. So we got one tomorrow, which is a week in front of the graduation, and we're going to go ahead so they can get their gifts and stuff. And so we got to go there tomorrow, and I can't remember exactly what time it is. I got to call my grandson since he gets off work. He works at McDonald's, and good boy. So Jeff, I'm going to back out of here. If you can, subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up on it if you like it. And I greatly appreciate it. And if you can get some friends that you talk to all the time to come over and watch the channel with us, maybe join into the conversations. I get talking about that stuff and I don't know when to stop. I didn't realize we've been talking that long. And you come on after I was on about 30 or 40 minutes, seems like. But I really enjoyed it. And well, I'll tell you what, while I was in the military, I done just about everything I ever wanted to do in my life. And since I got out, I done the things I wanted to do that I didn't get to do in the military. And it's been just a great life for me. I retired in 93, and that's what, 31 years ago. How many people get to retire and live that long after they retire? I've just been blessed some furious. I mean, it's unreal. And a lot of times I get tired sitting around, I go get a job and work a while. Now I built another retirement of doing that. So rather than get on another story, we're going to end this one, Jeff. And uh, I might be on here tomorrow, I might not, but I'll be on Sunday for sure. And Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. That is. And we'll catch you then. You have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you on the next one. So you take care of yourself. Bye now.